They never argue to reach the truth. They argue to make you forget what truth even felt like. Their words blur certainty until you can't tell if you're defending facts or defending your own sanity. Every sentence becomes smoke, curling around logic until reason chokes in the haze. At first, it sounds like a normal disagreement, the kind couples or colleagues have every day. But watch closely. One person bends the frame of reality a few degrees each time, subtle enough to pass unnoticed. The story shifts by inches until you're standing on a tilted floor, wondering when gravity changed sides. They say you're too sensitive, that you always overreact, and soon you start doubting the weight of your own emotions. The more you explain, the more they twist your explanations into evidence that you're unstable. It's not a fight anymore. It's a slow rewriting of who you believe you are. Gaslighting isn't chaos, it's choreography. Every contradiction, every denial is timed to exhaust you just enough to accept their version of events. The goal isn't to prove they're right, it's to make you uncertain that you ever were. Confusion becomes control disguised as conversation. They'll recall an argument differently, calmly, as if memory itself obeys them. You'll search your mind for proof and find fog instead of detail. Doubt seeps into your bones until you start apologizing for things you never did, because it's easier than explaining why you're sure. In public, the gaslighter smiles. Their voice is smooth, reasonable, almost tender. Everyone sees balance, never the quiet edits happening inside your mind. You begin to question whether the cruelty you feel is even real if no one else sees the cut. Isolation is their masterpiece. When you try to reach out, they warn others that you're dramatic, emotional, unreliable. The circle closes around you while they stand at the center, calm and collected, the only perspective that seems to make sense. That's when dependence is complete. Gaslighters weaponize calmness. While you tremble with frustration, they stay perfectly still, making your emotion look like guilt. Control hides behind serenity. Whoever remains unshaken is assumed to be right. They've learned that silence can humiliate better than shouting ever could. Sometimes they'll offer tenderness after the storm, a sudden kindness, a soft word, a nostalgic memory. It feels like safety, but it's the leash being loosened just enough for you to stay. The human mind mistakes relief for love when it's been starved of peace. To escape a gaslighter, you must learn to anchor yourself in evidence, not emotion. Write down what was said, what was done, what you felt. Paper doesn't gaslight, it remembers. Each record becomes a map back to reality when your compass starts spinning. You'll need allies who believe in you before they understand every detail. Tell one person who listens without analyzing your tone. Validation is the first antidote. It restores the line between what happened and what was suggested. Doubt shrinks when it's spoken out loud. Recovery isn't dramatic, it's quiet. It starts when you stop defending yourself to the one who distorted you. Their approval no longer measures your truth. In that silence, something fragile and sacred returns, the sound of your own thoughts uncorrected. Gaslighting thrives where empathy is turned into guilt. The manipulator studies your compassion, knowing you'll question yourself before you ever accuse them. But empathy can be your weapon too, aimed inward, reminding yourself that care isn't weakness, it's evidence of humanity they lack. Every time you catch the trick, the false memory, the emotional inversion, you reclaim a piece of your mind. The fog thins. You start seeing the rhythm behind their contradictions and realize confusion was never random. It was design. Awareness ruins the performance. If they ever sense that you see through them, they'll shift tactics. Suddenly, they're the victim. You're the one who's twisting things, making it about yourself. The narrative flips because the illusion can't survive the light of recognition. Don't argue, document, distance, detach. The hardest part isn't leaving the gaslighter, it's trusting reality again. You'll replay moments, checking if you misheard or misremembered. That's the residue of manipulation, a scar where certainty used to live. Give it time. Clarity returns like sunrise, slow but unstoppable. The gaslighter's power dies when you stop performing confusion. Ask questions not to convince them, but to stabilize yourself. What do I know? What can I prove? Truth feels small at first, but it grows louder every time you speak it without apology. There's a strange strength in realizing you don't need to win the argument. You just need to leave it. Power isn't proving you're right. It's walking away without permission. The silence that follows when memory aligns again, you'll see how elegant the manipulation was, how precise each twist had been. And yet, you survived. The mind that once doubted everything now recognizes patterns faster than ever. Awareness becomes armor. Scars become sight. Gaslighters feed on reaction, so your calm is revolution. Each time you respond with clarity instead of defense, the spell weakens. They'll search your eyes for confusion and find only reflection of themselves, small and transparent. That mirror ends their reign. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means reclaiming narrative authority. You decide which memories stand and which lies dissolve. It's not about vengeance, but restoration. The quiet rebuilding of trust between your heart and your perception. Those who gaslight fear one thing above all: exposure. Not public humiliation, but the private moment you stop believing them. When you withdraw belief, the architecture of their power collapses in silence. That silence is freedom disguised as emptiness. You'll carry fragments of their words for a while. Echoes that question, accuse, belittle. Don't fight them, watch them fade. Reality has a gravity of its own, and it always pulls truth back into focus. The weight you feel lifting isn't forgiveness, it's release. Remember, arguing with a gaslighter is like playing chess with someone who keeps moving the board. The only winning move is stepping away from the table. They can't twist what you refuse to repeat. Control ends where clarity begins. So, speak softly to yourself, louder to your journal, and not at all to those who thrive on distortion. The voice you rebuild inside is the one they tried hardest to silence. Guard it. It's the truest sound in a world full of noise. Because in the end, gaslighting isn't about words, it's about power. And when you reclaim your understanding of reality, you reclaim every bit of power they ever borrowed from your doubt. The light you see now was always yours. It just needed darkness to reveal its shape. They return like ghosts, knocking softly on the walls of your mind. Sometimes with apologies, sometimes with silence that tempts curiosity. They don't miss you. They miss control. And control often re-enters wearing the mask of regret. The gaslighter's memory is selective genius. They forget cruelty with surgical precision, yet recall every flaw you confessed in weakness. Those memories become currency in their next transaction of dominance. Guilt is the coin they mint from your compassion. You'll see the pattern if you slow down. Every kind gesture they offer is followed by a hook, a reminder that you owe them understanding, patience, one more chance. Manipulation wears forgiveness like perfume, sweet, familiar, and faintly suffocating. When you refuse to play the script, confusion spreads through them. Their sentences falter because there's no longer an echo. They rely on your reactions to define themselves. Indifference starves them more than anger ever could. Silence becomes your resistance. Gaslighters hate clarity because clarity demands accountability. Their strategy collapses when you insist on specific dates, words, and actions. Facts trap them, so they drown conversation in emotion, where proof feels cruel and feelings feel like truth. They often accuse what they are. You twist everything, they say, while rearranging your sentences in real time. You make me feel crazy, they whisper, right after convincing you that you are. Projection is their camouflage, and it always fits perfectly. Their calm is performance, not peace. Watch their stillness when they sense control slipping. It's not serenity, it's calculation. Every pause hides a search for your weakness. Which word made you flinch? Which silence made you chase? The next move depends on that data. A gaslighter's greatest fear is exposure through pattern. That's why they provoke chaos, to scatter your timeline so you never notice repetition. Each argument feels new, though the script is ancient. The names change, the confusion remains. You'll begin to heal the moment repetition becomes recognition. The same phrases, the same sighs, the same shift from warmth to ice, all signs of choreography. Once you see the dance, you no longer join it. You step back and let the music play without you. In recovery, memory becomes a battlefield. You'll question whether remembering pain is obsession or defense. Keep the record. Don't romanticize revision. Forgetting isn't healing when it invites the same wound to reopen. Some gaslighters disguise themselves as helpers. They offer advice, drenched in pity, positioning themselves above your confusion. "I'm just trying to help," they say, while steering you into dependency. Real help empowers. Manipulation comforts until it cages. They know language better than truth. "I never said that" becomes a ritual spell that rewrites the past. You start doubting tone, sequence, even reason. That's how they win, not by logic, but by eroding your right to trust your own senses. To counter them, practice grounding. Name the room you're in, the color of the walls, the time on the clock. Simple reality checks rebuild the bridge between perception and certainty. You can't fight illusion from inside illusion. Notice how they use timing. Apologies arrive when you're too tired to analyze. Accusations strike when you're confident. Praise surfaces right before they need something. It's not random, it's rhythm, a manipulation metronome. They'll say you've changed and they're right. You've stopped feeding the cycle that sustained them. Growth feels like betrayal to those who thrived on your confusion. Let that accusation stand as proof of progress. Gaslighters thrive on reaction loops. They press, you explain. They twist, you clarify. The loop repeats until exhaustion replaces logic. The only exit is non-engagement. Respond with facts once, then withdraw. Silence starves the cycle faster than argument ever will. Sometimes the most dangerous gaslighter is the one inside your head. After months or years, their voice lingers as self-critique. "Maybe it was my fault," whispers the echo. Replace that whisper with evidence. Memory rewritten by clarity, not fear. Healing looks like boredom at first. No dramatic confrontations, no adrenaline, just peace. It will feel wrong because chaos had become your rhythm. But calm is not emptiness. It's the space where your own thoughts finally sound louder than theirs. You might still crave closure, but understand, gaslighters never close doors. They keep them ajar, hoping you'll peek in. Closure isn't given, it's declared. You end it by deciding there's nothing left to explain. The urge to prove they were wrong is the final hook. Let it go. You can't teach honesty to someone who survives on distortion. Validation from deceit is counterfeit currency. It spends fast and leaves you empty. Gaslighters confuse vulnerability with weakness. They underestimate the strength it takes to face reality without illusion. Your honesty terrifies them because it can't be controlled. The truth is radioactive to those who live in manipulation's shadow. In time, you'll meet new people and flinch at familiar tones, suspecting hidden motives. That's not paranoia, it's memory keeping watch. Let discernment sharpen you, not harden you. Wisdom is vigilance without bitterness. If a gaslighter ever returns, you'll recognize the pattern instantly. The soft apology, the nostalgia, the gentle blame wrapped in charm. This time, your silence will answer faster than your heart. Experience has replaced confusion with intuition. Forgiveness doesn't mean reopening doors. It means removing their voice from your decision-making. You release the burden of proving them wrong and focus on living right. That's the justice they can't distort. Look back not with shame but with understanding. You believed in someone who needed illusion more than truth. That belief wasn't foolish, it was human. Compassion misused still proves you possess it. Their deceit never cancels your goodness. Now your language changes. You speak slower, clearer, anchored in fact. You no longer chase agreement, you state boundaries. People notice the steadiness in your tone and mistake it for calm. It's not calm, it's certainty reborn. Soon the patterns that once trapped you become signals you read in others. A raised brow, a strategic sigh, a phrase built to confuse. You catch them early and step aside. Experience has turned pain into radar. Every healed survivor carries quiet authority. It's not arrogance, it's recognition of self. You've walked through distortion and emerged fluent in truth. That fluency draws respect even from those who don't know why. Gaslighters crumble when confronted by memory that doesn't bend. Facts repeated calmly are louder than shouting ever was. The strength you found in documentation becomes armor, the kind that doesn't shine but endures. Over time, the obsession fades. You stop replaying their words because they no longer hold weight. Reality has reclaimed its texture. Colors return, laughter feels unsupervised, silence becomes friendly again. Your healing isn't dramatic enough for movies. It's small and continuous. And boundaries once learned become peace. Because true power isn't in rewriting someone else's reality. It's in protecting your own. The person you are now can't be unmade by lies. You've seen too much light. That's the quiet revenge truth always takes on deception. Gaslighting doesn't always come from a place of malice. Sometimes it's born from insecurity wrapped in charm. The gaslighter isn't always the villain in a dark cloak. They're often the ones smiling, reassuring, speaking softly as they rewrite your truth. They make you question not only what you've seen, but why you saw it that way, until your own certainty becomes the very tool they manipulate. They'll start small, a detail here, a memory there, just enough to make you second guess. You're remembering it wrong, they'll say, their tone calm, patient, almost loving. But that softness is strategy, a way to keep you anchored in their version of events while your own confidence slowly dissolves under their composure. Once doubt enters your mind, it grows roots. You begin to apologize for things you never did, to defend yourself against accusations that never existed. You start to ask for permission to trust your own eyes, your own emotions, because the gaslighter has made you believe they know you better than you know yourself. That illusion of care becomes their strongest weapon. When you confront them with proof, they'll smile. Not mockingly, but with quiet disappointment, as if your evidence is a personal betrayal. "I thought you trusted me," they'll say, and suddenly the problem isn't what happened, but your lack of faith. They've shifted the stage so effortlessly that you're now apologizing for confronting them. It's psychological sleight of hand. Gaslighters understand rhythm. They know when to comfort, when to confuse, when to pull away. Every action is part of a pattern designed to keep you off balance. They feed you just enough truth to keep your hope alive, and enough distortion to make that hope depend on them. The result is emotional addiction, disguised as love, loyalty, or understanding. They'll isolate you without isolating you, not by locking you away, but by convincing you others don't understand you like they do. They're jealous, they'll whisper. They don't really care about you. Slowly, your world shrinks, your circle tightens, and their voice becomes the only one that matters. That's when control becomes complete. A gaslighter doesn't destroy your confidence all at once. They dismantle it piece by piece. They praise you for your strength, then question your decisions. They compliment your insight, then make you feel foolish for using it. They make you believe your emotions are overreactions, your instincts are paranoia, and your pain is your own fault. It's a form of hypnosis through contradiction. The mind begins to crave their validation because it's the only stable thing left. Even when you suspect manipulation, the comfort they offer after confusion feels like relief, and that relief becomes addictive. You begin to associate the person causing your pain with the feeling of safety from that pain. Over time, you become fluent in their language of distortion. You start anticipating their reactions, adjusting your words, your tone, even your emotions to avoid conflict. You stop being honest, not because you're deceitful, but because truth no longer feels safe. Your entire existence becomes about maintaining harmony in a world they control. They'll use your empathy as leverage. The more you care, the easier it is for them to guilt you. When you defend yourself, they'll call you cruel. When you forgive them, they'll call you understanding. The gaslighter thrives on emotional contradictions because confusion weakens clarity, and clarity is their greatest enemy. What makes gaslighting powerful is that it's invisible to everyone except the victim. To outsiders, the gaslighter looks calm, rational, even nurturing. They choose their words carefully, ensuring that if you ever speak up, you'll sound unstable or over